we started thinking, well, we've already invested in the infrastructure. We've already invested in the training of these teammates, these team members. So how can we monetize this? Yeah, there's the EcomX, which is so we do customer experience, where we tackle 4 different customer touch points to enhance cost per acquisition, average order value, lifetime value, from a phone call perspective. And so we add additional 20% top line revenue. We average between 400 600% ROI on that without, it's like a bolt-on service. It doesn't impact negatively your other channels like email or SMS or Google or TikTok or affiliates. So that's one thing. That's one of the things we do. The other thing we do is we also have an education platform called Ecom Mastermind. And so it's full spectrum.
Full spectrum, and predominantly focused on the direct-to-consumer channel, if I understand correctly, which would be Shopify, WooCommerce, or other platforms, I assume, or do you work predominantly with one platform?
So right now with OptimizeX, we're fully integrated with Shopify Plus.
Okay.
We are in the process of releasing ClickFunnels as well as followed by WooCommerce or WordPress following that. And then right now, predominantly, only exclusively on Facebook ads. But we're in the process of wrapping up Google ads and TikTok ads as our next integrations.
So one of the challenges I think we've got out here, and some people may know this and some may be facing this shortly as they go out to try to start Facebook marketing or other marketing, is tracking is a big issue, especially after recent updates. Can you give us some insights into what some of the things you faced and maybe why you're trying to create a solution with OptimizeX to solve that problem?
Sure. So historically, Facebook used to be, and still probably is, but they're just lacking some of the data to be able to be as effective as they used to be. But Facebook is arguably one of the most advanced behavior prediction engines in the world, consumerly available behavior prediction engines in the world, because Facebook simply had access to a lot of data. And so as a result, you didn't have to be a great marketer to have great results on Facebook. You just had to have a product people wanted, access to the Facebook pixel, and a design, or at least a design that enhanced the customer experience from click to purchase. As long as you had those in place, Facebook was very predictable and could generate you wild results. Unfortunately, with what Apple did last April 21st with iOS 14.5, Apple wanted to prevent consumer data from being shared with third parties without the consumer's consent. And so as a result, Facebook falls into that third-party tracking category. And so 76% of Apple users have opted out of Facebook tracking, which means collectively, Facebook has access to 24% of iOS users, where previously they had a lot more. And so as the major impact on brands is that if you're using Facebook as a channel to drive traffic for paid traffic, you don't have access to the amount of data that you would have access to previously. And so that means you're going to spend 4 times more on your ads to get the same amount of data. And that's presuming that you even have the right amount of data. I mean, who's to say that in that 24% bracket, does that really represent your buyer? And so probably not, right? So you have access to limited data. And so it's caused a major pain point, considering that there were 12.8 million Facebook advertisers as of April of last year. Now there's 6.2 million active. Yeah, it's an incredible drop. And you could say COVID has had its play with that, but I look at it as if you're unable to generate profitable returns from your traffic, you're not going to continue paying for traffic without seeing the results. And
it's that first click to sale ratio, right? Especially with a lot of new advertisers. I mean, they're trying to make that first profit on that first click to sale, which isn't always how e-com works, or really actually should work in most people's minds. It's about the acquisition, no matter what the cost is. How do I make that profitable if I beat somebody else to the sale? But most new sellers or Facebook marketers don't understand that, and they're trying to adapt that. So they're spending, and have been, in my experience, and I think you may echo this in yours, that they're spending a lot more money to get testing and data and information out of a smaller segment of user base to try to validate that their product is even willing to be purchased by somebody who's never heard of their brand before.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's a big problem. And so this is where, I guess I'll kind of go into a storytelling mode here. Like when this happened, I mean, we own the largest Irish jewelry brand in the U.S. It's called Celtic Nut Jewelry. So it's a direct-to-consumer brand. We sell sterling silver jewelry to an Irish audience, so Celtic, Irish, pagan audience. And we've done quite well with Facebook ads. But when Apple introduced their update, I thought that we were ready to go. Like I thought everything was okay. We were using a tool called Trackify at the time. They said that they're fully prepared for the changes that were about to happen, and so we believed them. We'd used them for 4 years up to that point. And when Apple introduced their update, we saw a major hit. I mean, we promote predominantly during holidays, and so Mother's Day being a big holiday for us as well. And so we were getting ready for our Mother's Day trend, our Mother's Day campaigns. And man, it flopped so hard, harder than any of the campaigns that we promoted previously to that point. And so it became obvious after Mother's Day, leading up to Mother's Day, that, okay, we've got to change something. And so we came up with 2 ideas. One idea was, okay, if we don't have access to user data because people are opting out, if we don't have access to user data, then we've got to find a way to acquire that user data and find a way to monetize that prior to the purchase. And so we started thinking, well, what if we do top of funnel lead gen? And so that became one goal, one objective that we began working on. And so we started to do giveaways. Well, we were doing giveaways prior to this, but we weren't doing them as aggressively up to this point. But we do like $1,000 giveaways during a holiday. So we do that for lead gen to get people into our list. And then we give away products throughout every Friday we have a giveaway. Somebody wins some jewelry up to the point of the holiday where we have a $1,000 cash giveaway. And then, so we started to do that top of funnel. And then that resulted in, well, if we're generating all these leads, how do we monetize these sooner than just the average 28 to 30 day turnaround time from the time they enter our list to the time they buy? Like, how do I reduce that? And so we wanted to, we ended up doing, going to the Philippines. We opened a call center in the Philippines. I'd actually been here previously. We had a call center from 2008 to 2013. So like I understood the logistics in and outs of it, but we were doing it with info products and diet products and teeth whitening products and hair loss products. And so I thought, maybe we could get this to work also. And so I started to do phone dials to that list, and that performed horribly because we had people that they were opting in for something free, and all of a sudden we're calling them.
Every marketing activity doesn't work 100% the first time.
Oh man, it flopped so hard. But then we started thinking, well, we've already invested in the infrastructure. We've already invested in the training of these teammates, these team members. So how can we monetize this? And so we evolved that into not just doing outbound dials to cold lead gen of people that wanted to get a free $1,000. And I just found that people that wanted something free didn't want to pay for something to try and enhance their chances of winning something. And so we started to approach customer experience as a key point. And so we started to do outbound dials to abandoned checkouts, which performed incredibly well. So we do this polarizing conversation. So we get on the phone if somebody's abandoned their checkout. We're like, hey, thanks for your interest in our products. We saw that you were interested in XYZ product. This is Jim Moore with Kelton Not Jewelry. I would really appreciate your feedback. We rely on valuable feedback from customers like you. Do you have just a couple of moments to answer some questions? It would really be helpful for us. And if they say yes to that, that's our first yes in a series of following yeses that we hope to get out of the conversation. So the first yes is, do you consider yourself helpful? Do you have some time to answer some questions? Yes. Next question is, great. So what do you like about the brand? Or depending on where they came from, what did you like about the video? Or what did you like about our website or our blog, or wherever they came from? What did you like about that? And so this is a polarizing question, because we're not asking them, what do you like or dislike, or how could we be better based on your opinion? We want them to focus on what they like about us, so they stop actually think, well, I like X, Y, and Z. So great.
I like these things,
yes.
But.
Well, we don't get the but. Yeah, we don't get the but because we're not asking them, give us your advice. We're asking them, what do you like about this? And they'll tell us, well, I like this and this and this. Then next we'll enhance that. So we'll be like, what do you love about this product? So if it's a particular pendant or some earrings, what do you love about this? And they'll tell us, well, I love that it's, X, Y, Z. Then from there, we'll kind of fill in the blank for them. We'll say, well, who are you buying this for today? Are you getting this as a gift for yourself or for someone you love? Because we know they're buying it as a gift. We know they want it or they're giving it. So it's almost like a rhetorical question, but we're enhancing that, it's a gift. And so, of course, let's start playing on that a little bit. Then at that point, we ask them a question like, well, what changed your mind today? what prompted you not to buy or what prevented you from buying. And so they'll fill in the blank for us. They'll tell us that, it was too expensive, or I don't have enough money today, I'm going to wait till payday, or the shipping was too slow, or shipping was too much. Whatever the reason is, we have a rebuttal that approaches that, so that that overcomes that. Yeah, so now we know, we've already got them to tell us they're helpful, they want to help us out. 2, they like our brand. 3, they love our product. 4, they're buying it as a gift. And 5, this is why I didn't buy. Great. Now I if any half-decent salesperson has everything they need to close the sale. And so
absolutely. Here's your 15% discount if you buy right now. Would that help you out? Or, here's a 25%.
If that was the reason why they didn't buy, or why, so if it was a shipping reason, then I'm going to give them free shipping. If it was a cost reason, I'm going to give them a discount. If it's, I don't have enough money today, well, let me put you on a 4 easy pay payment plan. So depending on what their objection was, we have a rebuttal for that objection, overcome that objection. And so we do that. And then we do the same thing with not only abandoned checkouts, but also with our order confirmations. So if somebody orders, one, it helps with chargeback mitigation. Not that we have a lot of chargebacks, but when we do, it kind of sucks, right? Because I don't like losing that plus a $25 fee. And so we have the call recorded. So when we get on the call, we just want to confirm, hey, just want to make sure we're sitting at the right place. I just want to verify your address. It's an expensive product. I just want to make sure you actually get it. So can I verify your address? Thank you. This is what you ordered. Is this correct? Okay, thank you. But now it's our foot in the door, right? So now it's, who are you buying this for today? Kind of conversational of, are you buying this did you buy this as a gift for yourself or for someone you love? Start build a positive relationship. And then from there, we just enhance the order. So not only have we recorded the call, so just in case they charge back, then great, I've got everything we need to mitigate that. But that's not the real reason why we're calling. The real reason why we're calling is because I want to know what they bought, so that I can sell them more things just like that to create a higher average order value for that purchase. And so that's, so doing that, we also expanded into doing outreach to all of our engagements. We have personalized engagement. So if anybody comments or shares or tags or anything on our post, we have somebody that's responding immediately. We get them into either give us their phone number, or we give them ours, or we send them to links they can buy. So ultimately we get them to purchase. And then we also do outreach to anybody that leaves a 4 or 5 star positive review, put them into our loyalty program. So this results for us in a 20% additional bump in revenue at nearly a 600% ROI. And so this was a huge win for us. But that was one of the ideas. That was one of the things that we wanted to accomplish, and that we did that successfully. But the second thing is we had to solve attribution. And so that was, we're at a major loss for Mother's Day. So we're like, how do we overcome this? And I was going through the release notes of iOS 14.5. And I was looking at it and I was like, okay, wait, all they're doing is preventing third-party data collection. So what if we create a first-party tracking solution? So, I guess my history for this is I started advertising back in 2004, back in a time before there was cloud computing, before a pixel was
totally
code.
Different.
Yeah, our servers were in our
you could
office.
get anything approved.
Yeah. And so the way that we tracked sales back then is we had a pixel, but it was an image. It was a 1 pixel by 1 pixel square transparent image. We hosted that image on our server, and we knew that every time that image was called on, it was only called on because we put it on a confirmation page. So we knew who bought, when they bought, how much they paid for, what it was they purchased, as well as all their personal information. There's all in the URL. Back before the privacy was a big issue. She's the wild, wild west of the internet back then. And I thought, okay, this was first party tracking because we owned it. It was our servers. It was our tracking. All of it was ours. So what if we do something similar? And it took me a couple months to figure it out. So I started working on it in May, and we solved it by July 21st. But we created a first party tracking gateway. We actually completely removed Facebook from the site altogether. What we found was that if somebody opts out of Facebook, opts out of Facebook tracking, and they go to a website where the Facebook pixel exists, even if we're tracking all the data ourselves, but Facebook tracked it first, then that user data gets omitted by Apple. So Apple says, sorry, that person's opted out. You can't have this, but we'll give you the click ID. We'll send you just that, but we're not going to tell you who they are. We're not going to, anything that they submit is gone. But once that goes back to Facebook, for the next 28 days, anytime I send any data, even if I collected a full user profile, and then I submit that server side to Facebook, then that data still gets identified through aggregated events measurement as an opt-out event. And so you still have no access to that data because Facebook will scrub it. And so what we found is that if we just don't let Facebook track it, so we like our code deploys from the domain, the code, everything that gets tracked gets tracked on the website, and then all the tracking events get submitted back to the website. So as far as Apple's concerned, it's first party. It's not going to any third party destination. And so we would track it ourselves.
Which in this case would be Facebook's pixel actually being on there. So you simply don't put Facebook's pixel on your lead page.
Correct. So Facebook is gone.
So they simply can't, or Google or any other tracking.
So yeah,
Apple's
gone.
And basically saying nobody else is tracking this from a third party logistics. So we're willing to let you have that data.
Yeah, it's just like, for example, Shopify, right? If somebody's on a Shopify site and somebody puts in their user information to buy a product from your Shopify store, Apple's not going to prevent that user data from being shared to Shopify because it's Shopify, right? It's a first party data collection and the customer is submitting their information. And so in the same scenario, when we deploy an OptimizeX tracking server on somebody's site, it's their tracking server. It's their subdomain that get access a tracking gateway. We deploy their pixel from their server, which is on their domain, and all the tracking that happens doesn't leave the website. And so as far as Apple's concerned, it's first party, there's no data loss. And so almost 100% of the data goes to the server. So 99.999% of the data that we track makes it to the server. There are some edge cases like Internet Explorer we can't track. I mean, but who uses that? But 0.001% of
maybe
of
less
traffic.
than 1%.
It's there. There are some.
Right.
So there's a few browsers like Brave browser, Opera browser, Internet Explorer. If you're on those, they stop tracking because they prevent tracking natively through their application.
Yes.
But everything else goes to the server fine. And then once it's off the device, once it's on the server, that data goes through 98 different data checkpoints before it's ultimately stored, secured, encrypted, and then passed back to Facebook. And so we pass it not as website data, but as CRM data. So it's fully user enriched. There's no data scrubbing on Facebook side because the event was never seen as an opted out event by Apple. So it gets it doesn't have to go through.
Facebook has CRM tracking.
Yeah. So we have, so by the time, as long as we track it and as long as it gets into the to the server, to the database, then 99.6% of the data that we send to Facebook makes it to Facebook, identified to a user on Facebook, and stays in Events Manager. If there's a click ID, then it goes to the ad that it originated the traffic. And
I see. So that will still let you to attribute that customer acquisition to the particular ad set or ad in which that original click came from, because it was tracked in the CRM side of Facebook, and it still allows the event manager to fire that transaction back, which probably definitely more accurately.
Yeah.
Than just leaving it wide open for the standard Facebook pixel, which is going to scrub all that data.
Yeah.
Why iPhone users versus Android in this case? Why is it so important?
So
I think I know the answer, but is it the value statement?
I wouldn't say it's as much a value statement. It's because iOS is the one that, or Apple's one that made the change. So Apple, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but for whatever reason, they walled off their garden and they said, hey, we're giving Apple users the choice. Do you want to be tracked by the apps that you're using or not? With Facebook, a majority, 76% of Apple users said, no, do not let Facebook track me. Google in 2023 is doing the same thing. So Android users...
Well, they're all heading more towards that display side too anyways, right? I mean, they pulled out a lot of the data and based on lawsuits and other issues, they're starting to pull back on certain data.
I mean, Google's moving towards a cookieless environment.
Cookieless.
They've
said, that was kind of where we started, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's where we started. There was no cookies back in 2004. It was an image, and
correct.
We went to cookies, then we went to scripts, and then now you have little software programs running on your website, tracking everything that you do. From, well, some are more thorough than others, but the data that we track is only based on user activity and user submitted data. So we're not tracking. I mean, Facebook was tracking everything from your microphone to your camera to your keystrokes to your applications open, your GPS proximity. A lot. Facebook was tracking a lot. We don't track any of that. We just track user activity on the device from the website that they're on. So we fingerprint the device, so we know that this device belongs to somebody. Until they put in their user information, we don't know who owns that device. But once they buy a product or submit a lead or provide any user identifiable data,
Interact.
then we associate that to that.
Which is the only ones you really want anyways. Everyone else is just tire kicking at this
bingo,
point. Which you don't really care as much about that data.
Well,
yet
we still
until they
do.
Validate.
We still do, because we track the click ID and because we're passing it all back as CRM data. Facebook can still match that user. Even if I don't know who it is, Facebook still knows who it is. So it's still, it's still valuable for retargeting audiences.
Which would be huge if I'm already in the world of e-com and I got a store running and I'm spending 10, 20, 50,000 or more a month on my store currently. What's the, could I gain 20% back a month just by tracking stronger, I should say. I was going to say strongly, but that's not really right.
Well, there's three.
Stronger data tracking is going to obviously have an ROI very fast for me.
So there's three major benefits. You're going to spend, consider that 76% of users have opted out. So if you say collectively 24% of your users are trackable, that means you're going to spend 4 times more to get the amount of data you need to get your campaigns out of learning phase. Well, now that you get that data back to Facebook, you get out of learning phase more quickly. Second,
so you got to get to the 50 events, which is the learning phrase for those who may not understand what that means. There's 50 events that have to occur, whether it's lead conversion or something else that triggers, in essence, the algorithm to go out and, I'm going to say this the wrong way. You correct me if I'm wrong, but find more people, more data points that match up with the first 50 conversions or first 50 events. Is that correct?
That's very correct. So Facebook it's an algorithm, right? It's AI. And so Facebook is going to send people to your website that are most similar to the ones that are engaging in the conversion events that you've designated as your objective for your campaign. So if you want purchase conversion, for example, you need to get 50 conversions a week to stay out of learning for Facebook to optimize that campaign. If you're not getting 50 purchase conversions back to Facebook, even if you are getting 50 purchases, but if those purchase conversions aren't making it back to Facebook, then Facebook's blind to them. And if Facebook is blind to them, then Facebook can't predictably send people like that to your website to buy from you. And so that's the first major point. The second major point is let's say on average, let's say you have an average conversion rate of 4% or even 6%, right? So if you've got 4% conversion rate, well, you still have 96% of your buyers or visitors that aren't buying from you. So some of your most profitable ad campaigns aren't even from your cold traffic prospecting, but they're from your retargeting campaigns. So retargeting people that have taken specific steps on your website, like they saw your page but not your product, or they saw your product but didn't add to cart, or they added to cart but didn't check out, or they checked out but didn't buy. So these are very valuable audiences. Unfortunately, if that data is not making it back to Facebook, then those audiences are incomplete. So you can try and define those audiences, but if those users aren't making it into the audiences that you define, then those retargeting campaigns don't perform as well. So now that you're getting,
I can see where a lot of new users and the new buyers are going to struggle with that, especially most of them trying to get out of learning phase. And since that's come into effect along with the iOS changes, it now makes sense why you've got only 6 million platform sellers now, media buyers. Then there were 24 million a year ago. You can see how that would obviously kill that. So for people who are like getting going or people who are going, what is like kind of the process they would use to say build it, with a technology like OptimizeX and actually employ it into what they're doing today?
What's the question? I didn't understand the question.
Well, okay. So if I'm new, if I'm a beginner, if I'm wanting to get started, am I capable of using OptimizeX, or is your criteria only with certain people who are already selling or using or maximizing?
Oh, absolutely.
Or is it open to everybody?
So it's open to everybody. So we actually, the website's live. It's at OptimizeX.io. So we do cater to startups. So we have a starter plan that starts at $99 a month. But then we also cater to enterprise level all the way through, where we have 5 different tiers that can go all the way up to $5,000 a month. But this is more for like brands that are doing $5 million a month or more in sales. But if you're just a startup, you're doing less than $50,000 a month in sales, then $99 will get you access to access to your server, get you tracking, and getting that data back to Facebook in order to optimize your campaigns, get your audiences dialed in, as well as get your lookalike audiences able to populate again.
So if I'm getting started, I've got OptimizeX and I'm sending to a Shopify platform and got that configured and moving, and I'm launching a campaign to take advantage of this. What are the criteria I should use to get that first campaign going to really see maximum effort with OptimizeX in place?
So there's a couple of steps you'd want to do. Is one, you'd want to get rid of Facebook. So get rid of Facebook off of your page. So first,
take all the pixels off.
Get the pixel off the page.
Okay.
So deploy a tracking server with OptimizeX. There's a few configurations that you have to make to DNS that we walk you through. It takes about 20 minutes. It's not difficult, but there's some steps you have to take to make sure it's done correctly. You make those configuration changes. You get the tracking server deployed. You place your pixel from your tracking server on Facebook on your Shopify site instead of Facebook's, and then you place your Facebook pixel within your tracking server. So that way, the data that would have been tracked from your website is now only tracking from your server instead. So it's
I see.
So Apple has no control over your server. Apple only has control over the device that was on the website. So very, very simple setup, but takes about 20 minutes.
Okay, very simple.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like if I'm going to run $1 of traffic on Facebook on any type of conversion event from lead to purchase, etc., I want to put something like this in place, or I'm simply going to be spending 4 times the amount I would normally do to get through that learning phase and actually get a distribution and true algorithmic traffic off of Facebook, which is what everybody wants, right?
Yeah.
Once they get going. Jim, this has been extremely insightful. Obviously, you know your stuff. Your background is, of course, it seems, in media buying and e-com. Am I mistaken? You've had a pretty good history with it.
Yeah, so I've been in advertising since 2004. I got involved with Facebook ads and e-commerce with Shopify in 2016. And I have to say, I know more about attribution now than I did a year and a half ago. I mean, attribution is always like that topic that is like an elusive topic. Like you hear about attribution, but more in the groups of multi or omni-channel traffic strategies that you want to know, how to attribute those sales from which channel, because each channel attributes sales differently. But now with iOS, I mean, attribution of just getting your data back to the platform that drove the traffic is incredibly important. And we've solved that. We've solved the biggest problem facing advertisers globally, and we've done it in a very successful and meaningful way.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get back 4x your traffic cost and get to past the learning phase and actually get into the real traffic that will help you go scale and build your store. And of course, if you're using some of the strategies you just deployed in terms of call center or follow-up calls, even if you're just your own seller, just pick up the phone and calling those who abandoned your cart.
Yeah.
Could add on a lot of value. You just got the script, folks. If you don't see the value in that, you're missing the whole point, I think. And of course, having an email and SMS follow-up behind that is very powerful too.
Absolutely.
To stay engaged with your customers. Very, very powerful tips today to add back quite a bit of money, tracking, and ROI to your platform. Just extremely invaluable conversation today. So one more time, if people want to get involved and want to learn more about what you're doing, where do they go?
OptimizeX.io.
OptimizeX.io. Folks, I would encourage you, if you are a direct-to-consumer channel and you're running ads to Shopify, you should go check this out and give it a test run and see if your ROI goes up. I'd love to hear your case studies and stories. Give me some comments and feedback later on, folks. When you get this, let me know how it worked for you. Jim, thank you so much. Any final words and things you'd like to leave the audience with today?
No, just actually, I guess this is that with e-commerce, the one thing to think about is that at the core fundamental of e-commerce, it's a logistics and supply chain business. And so when you're talking about logistics and supply chain, you're talking about how quickly can you get products to your customer, and how do you ensure they have a positive customer experience when they receive it, from the speed of shipping to the quality of the product to pre and post-purchase communication. You want to make your customer smile. And you can do that effectively by, as we just mentioned before, just pick up the phone. And it helps your customer recognize that you're real. One of the things with e-commerce, especially with trying to get somebody that doesn't know you, is that they're trying to make the decision of, do I buy from you? Do I not buy from you? When you pick up the phone, they know you're real, and it's difficult to say no when somebody that you trust.
Yeah, once you validate that experience, it's not just another fly-by-night, site that just happened to come across a Facebook ad while they were scrolling for memes and viral videos. Yeah, they all of a sudden the trust value goes up tremendously, and that's a huge learning tip. Just a big tip for today, guys. In case you don't do anything else, take that advantage from today. Thanks, Jim, for coming on, man, and sharing some of your knowledge and wisdom. I appreciate it. It was a great call.
Neil, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.